The Honorable Minister of Works is as implicated as any other person. Because in the first instance, he is the one representing the executive in awarding this contract. He has a story to tell as to why his contractor has become more powerful than him. Until we do that, I think we are being misled into chasing a contractor. Who is this contractor that is so powerful? More than the federal government, more than EFCC, more than all the agencies that are put in place to deal with people who are involved in criminal embezzlement of public funds. But somehow, my views are totally and fundamentally different. Your Excellency, I'm happy you are now seated when I have this opportunity to speak. I associate myself 100% with some of the sentiments expressed by distinguished Senator Dixon. That these chambers is not a place you bring contractors to. Because by doing that, we give them an undeserved respect. But my first question, why I say I'm happy you are the one on seat. I was a governor in Edo State, the way we have a federal government at the federal level. When I issued or I approved the recommendation of a tenders board or procurement process, and a contract is awarded, and I confirm from the Ministry of Finance that money has been paid, I go around to check if the money paid, if the job being done is up to the value of the money that has been paid. And should I find that the contractor is no longer working, even when we have paid, it is not the House of Assembly that helps me to bring an irresponsible contractor to justice. The first thing that we do, following the laws of procurement, because there's always a contract. In that contract, there are usually clear provisions as to what should be done when money has been paid and the contractor abandons site, or if the contractor is at site, is working at such a low pace of work that the job might not be completed within the time frame provided for in the contract agreement. But my people have a saying that when an elderly man has shared akara with a small child, he loses respect in the eyes of the child. That we are discussing a contractor here who appear to be more powerful than the Ministry of Works that awarded this contract. I am sure in your 8 years as governor, you have had cause to deal with contractors who collected money and thought it was a Christmas gift. So, sir, my first question, who is complaining? Is it the committee that awarded the contract? Is the minister complaining? If the minister is not complaining, or is pretending to complain, should we not make exactly the same anger on the minister as well as his agent, the contractor? When a man who gives you a job can no longer call you to order, there are questions to be asked, and there are hard answers that must be provided. The man who gives contract cannot be helpless unless he compromises his powers.
Most people summon Julius Berger, they refuse to come. And I urge the Senate to punish them. They cannot be doing this. If they're a construction company, they must listen to the parliament. It's not only Julius Berger. Even some of our ministers are not answerable to the committees. And they will insult our chairman. And they will insult people working in the Senate. You will invite a minister of Federal Republic of Nigeria, some of them will not listen to the chairman of your committee, Mr. President. And enough is enough. we should query these ministers and ask Mr. President to drop them. How can a chairman of a committee be looking for a minister for 2, 3 days, 4 days, they will not answer phone? So they are doing the same thing Julius Berger is doing. We are protected under Section 28, 88 and 89 of the Constitution as amended, 1999 Constitution. We cannot be taking this. This is a parliament. Unless they want us to be a study area, we become a study area. We are lawmakers, and they should respect this place. It's not only Julius Berger, it's also your ministers and DGs. Many chairmen of parastatal, including some of the federal government parastatal. The chairman have been telling me, I will go for a committee meeting, I expect to see a minister, the minister will not come. And I'm not the chairman, I can't do anything. It's a hard time that any minister, the parliament must put a performance record for all the ministers. I must report to the commander-in-chief. Because we are not here for jokes.
The hunger of my brother, distinguished Senator Orji, should be directed at the Federal Ministry of Works. And like somebody said, evil petty contractors collect money and walk away. And there are no consequences. And I want to ask for those of us who have had the privilege to give jobs, even in our personal capacity, when you pay your contractor with evidence and you have agreement that says once you pay, a job is done. If the contractor doesn't do it, why are you not invoking those sections, not only to terminate, but to use law enforcement? Because this is not a civil matter, it's a contractual obligation that can have a criminal implication. And then get the security information agencies to recover the portion of the money that has been paid and for which no job has been done. For the committee to now be the one chasing a contractor and the federal ministry seems to be indifferent, suggests that we are directing our anger not to the source of the problem, but to the consequences arising from official neglect by those who are empowered to enforce contract agreement. I therefore submit, sir, with profound respect, that the Honorable Minister of Works is as implicated as any other person. Because in the first instance, he is the one representing the executive in awarding this contract. He has a story to tell as to why his contractor has become more powerful than him. Until we do that, I think we are being misled into chasing a contractor. Who is this contractor that is so powerful? More than the federal government, more than EFCC, more than all the agencies that are put in place to deal with people who are involved in criminal embezzlement of public funds. So I submit, sir, that everything we have said of Julius Berger, we should say even more to the Ministry of Works that awarded the contract. There is no evidence they have they have the power to revoke the contract, and they have the power under the law to get that part of the payment for which they have not worked, to recover that money to public treasury and award the contract to another contractor under clear terms of contract execution.
Thank you.
So let us not.
Thank you.
Let us not shy away from the root cause of the problem. May we not engage anyone that is beyond our capacity to bring under control. Don't hire who you cannot fire.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, let me.
My colleagues who spoke earlier to say that what we are discussing is of a fundamental consequence. But I have a different attitude to this. And here, I would like to state very clearly that committees of the Senate, whether special, ad hoc, or standing, are coordinated by the Senate leader or office of the Senate leader. Mr. President, to me, when committees have issues with either contractors or agencies they supervise and oversight, they should start with Senate leader's office. In a situation where we have a contractor, and here I will agree with so many of our colleagues who said we shouldn't be discussing Julius Berger here, the way we are discussing it. Because it's like the ministry has failed, Ministry of Works, and now the entire people of Nigeria are talking about Julius Berger and a contractor that has signed agreements, and those agreements are meant to be kept by both sides. Mr. President, when we have issues like this, plenary is not the best place because you won't get the best information. When we are in a closed session, you will hear a lot more than we are hearing now. Because at that point, it will be no whole bad. So I will advise that we have said enough. Either we go into closed session now and deal with it and conclude on how we go forward, or we may delay it, but I believe that discussing it in plenary does not help the Senate. And therefore, I agree with the submission of Senator Dixon, and of course, partially with the submission of my friend and brother here, the former NLC president, the senator representing Edo North, Senator Adams Oshiomole. But I say partially, the Senate, committees of the National Assembly can invite a contractor. Why? If the minister has failed or the ministry has failed, we approved funds and we want to see value for money. We want to see economy. We want to see prudence in the way and manner our funds that we appropriated are utilized. So in conclusion, Mr. President, I will advise that we should find a way of going into closed session and open up so that we deal with this issue. And like many of us said, it's beyond Julius Berger. And this has been a recurring decimal in most sessions of the National Assembly. Ministers, heads of agencies, contractors, sometimes, or many times, they will simply ignore. And when I served as chairman of Public Accounts Committee, which I did in this Senate for 8 years, I knew how the Senate President then gave us the support by signing 1 or 2 warrants, and everybody started to be a better person. We invite you, you will appear. So, Mr. President, I advise, let's go into closed session. And when there is need for signing a warrant, Mr. President, don't hesitate. We have to make example of some people and some institutions. Thank you very much.
Gone round and round and round and round on the same issue. First, I want to agree with majority of you who said that this issue ought not to be discussed in the plenary. You have your constitutional powers, and you have to be very well versed with your constitution. At any point in time, the power of a legislator is in the abiding laws, and particularly the ground norm, which is the Constitution. So if you're a chairman of a committee and you don't know how to use the Constitution or your powers, you don't need to bring it to the plenary. All you simply do is to let us know that you don't know what to do, and we change you and give it to another senator who knows how to use. I'm mentioning this because some people take the job of the parliament in a joke. I must tell you that the only thing that evidences democracy is the parliament. In every government, you have the judiciary, you have the executive. But once you have the parliament, that is a democratic administration. The parliament, in law, has the power to turn a man into a woman and a woman into a man. And even this constitution, if you look at section 88, section 89 particularly, up to section 89C, it says that you can summon any person in Nigeria to give evidence at any place or to produce any document or anything in his possession or under his control. That is, your power is so wide. You can summon any person in Nigeria. These contractors are in Nigeria, whether they are foreigners or not. You can summon any person. And the powers are given both to the plenary as well as the committees. So even the committees have the powers to do so. But where your efforts fail, that's when you approach the Speaker or approach the Senate President to say that we need to issue a warrant of arrest. And you must also indicate who is going to execute the warrant. Is it the police? Or is it an agency of EFCC? Or is it the DSS? We are lawmakers. I heard also Senator Jusakalo's submission was very clear. That is not only JB, that it extends to even heads of parastatals and ministers. Personally, I was a minister. There was never a time I was invited by the House of Representatives or the Senate and I did not appear in person. Because when I was in the A Senate, I hated the idea of ministers sending assistant directors to go and appear in the parliament. Luckily today, the president of the country is himself a former senator. The vice president is a former senator. Even the first lady, a former senator. There is no way you use your powers and they will not understand. And you have to understand that your attitude determines your altitude. If you do not exert your powers, then why then are we here? So since this matter has reached us, I believe we should go into the prayers and we should not discuss anymore. If the prayers are strong enough, there are prayers here. Well, the prayers are here. Distinguished colleagues, do we take a single prayer and avoid the multiple prayers contained herein, almost 6 of them, to say that this Senate do resolve to issue a warrant of arrest to the managing director of JV to appear before the Senate Committee on Works to explain what they have done with the finances of the federal government given under their control. If we have power to appropriate, we have power to oversight. We also have powers to follow the money to the letter. My opinion is that the discussion is totally unnecessary. We should have used 5 minutes to finish with this issue. The Senate has no business discussing a contractor. This also shows evidence of proper supervision by the ministry. So what we are going to do is that since we have summoned the company, and the company has rebuffed the summons of the National Assembly by implicating the Senate, then we should immediately take the next step of issuing a warrant of arrest to compel the managing director of JB to appear before the Senate committee. And then you fix a date. Those in support of this say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has authorized the Senate President to sign a warrant compelling the managing director of Julal Beja to appear before the Senate Committee on Works on a stated date to be so named. And then the report will be made available thereafter to this August Assembly, failing which we shall go further to do the needful as prescribed in the Nigerian Constitution. Those in support of the resolution say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, point of order.